Hi DF crew! Exclamation point. What if the next Xbox console was a hybrid where both in X and S tier you get the same handheld that plays Game Pass games, but in the dock you have either a weaker in S tier or stronger X GPU with an ML component that would allow you to play the latest games on a 4K screen. That's what I'd call the biggest technological leap in gaming! Exclamation point. Cheers! Exclamation point. So, Oliver, I love a good bit of next generation theory crafting, as you know, but I'm not even sure I understand the concept of this one. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
what do
guess
you think?
GPU and the power brick. No, well,
Yeah,
you'd have to route PCIe over the connector, so maybe you do something like Thunderbolt there. And when you do look at eGPU performance or performance over Thunderbolt is always compromised to some degree, especially with higher end cards. So that's a problem. Would be possible, I imagine, but it would be potentially a problem with USB 4 or Thunderbolt, maybe 5 that's in the horizon that has more bandwidth. The CPU side would be a bit of a problem because you aren't getting a very powerful CPU in that small shell, I can imagine. But to me, maybe the biggest issue practically is not, the kind of bean counter issues there, but it's just the fact that hot swapping would probably be very difficult or impossible there. In terms of, I mean, it would be impossible in terms of getting like that Switch style experience of having a console that you play on the go, plug into the dock, and you're playing the same game in the same moment, same settings, whatever, right? That to me, I think, is the appeal of the Switch concept as a hybrid machine. It's that flexibility. It's implied in the name. It's that switch, right? And here it would be more like, well, connect it to the eGPU in, reboot the game. It'd be much more PC-like, I'd have to imagine. So that would not be as compelling of a concept, I suspect.
okay. John, does this concept, let's put the logistical practicalities aside, do you think this makes any sense?
Uh, uh no, not really. I just think
Yeah,
this is
right.
additional cost and confusion in a market where they really don't need that. And I don't think this is something that would hit very well. I mean, what they're basically proposing is like, do you buy the high end dock or the low end dock? Right. So
Right.
even, aside from whether or not this would work, that's what they're suggesting. And I just feel like that creates, it doesn't really change anything with the situation. Because you're still selling two SKUs. Do you include the high end dock with this, like, do they have a bundle where here's the handheld with the high end dock, here's a bundle with the low end dock? Like, how do you even market this in a way that like is easy to parse when people are already not loving having to deal with multiple SKUs of a console as is? I just feel like that's not really a very compelling sell to the average consumer, especially given where Xbox is at right now. Like, this is not the play for them.
Yeah. Yeah, my thoughts on this one. Let's talk about the logistical element of it. Um, I love it when people suggest this idea of a handheld that docks into a much more powerful piece of kit, but you've got to understand the implications of this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the dock would need to have more memory, really. Um, Otherwise, you're going to be constrained by whatever memory limits you've got in the handheld. And the handheld can, of course, have a lower amount of memory. You don't actually need massive amounts of memory in there compared to like a 4K box. Ultimately, what you end up with in the dock is essentially a machine that could also be a home console, really. I mean, if you're going to have a piece of silicon and memory in a box that connects to a TV, you're halfway there to having a complete console. So there's not really this concept of the GPU in the dock. I love it, I really do, but it just doesn't really make sense in terms of the way technology is generally made. And secondly, you've got a massive marketing problem there. It just doesn't really make sense. Nintendo hit it out of the park with the Switch concept as they delivered it in 2017, which is to say, it basically runs faster when it's docked. But otherwise, job done. In terms of what Microsoft is going to be doing, I'm just putting my money on at least two machines, at least, probably more. I mean, if they're talking about the greatest technological leap of a generation, that inevitably will mean an expensive machine. If you're talking about a handheld, then that's something else entirely. So what's the middle ground? That you've got two extremes there. There's got to be a middle ground. I think the technological leap will be with machine learning, though. I mean, going back to that Sean Layden discussion, you can't just increase your GPU teraflops anymore. It's just not viable. We've kind of seen it pushed out as far as it will go with PS5 Pro, and it's $700. So something's gonna have to change there. But yeah, GPUs in docks typically doesn't work out, and I don't think it would work out here.